Okay. So yeah, if you imagine what were you saying there again, Dan?
I'm saying that if you're mono white, this is barely playable. And if you're not mono white, then you will imagine having this on turn 6, and you can pay half your mana to get the giant growth that everybody sees coming. You get 2 for 1. It's like, it's really bad.
All right, so unplayable card is unplayable. Got it.
Yeah. As is the next one is a lot of life gain, but it's still life gain.
Yeah, it's still just a life gain spell. It doesn't do anything to affect the board, um, and it doesn't even give you any bonuses for gaining all this life. So
But there is a
now
life gain deck in
there is a life
the
gain deck.
set.
It's not as good as the Rhox Faithmender life main deck, but
I think it actually could be quite good. I think it's much more streamlined than the life gain deck in M13.
all right. I'll default to you on that. I don't think this card is playable even in the life gain deck, though.
I think it's a 10th to 12th pick if you're the life gain deck. Or if you're like,
Man, that's saying a lot.
if you're white blue flyers, I think this also 10th to 12th pick, because this will buy you a lot of time.
Yeah. The card to compare it to is Crypt Incursion from Dragon's Maze,
Yeah.
where you exile creature cards from graveyards and gain 3 life for each one. Sometimes that life gain is so significant. If you exile 5 creatures, you just rebought another life.
Yes.
So sometimes that's really good. Congregate, you may get that much life, but you're not getting any bodies for the fact. You're not exiling creatures from graveyards to the effect. You're just gaining the life.
First you night pack for
And
6 with your 6 forest and 1 plane, and then next turn you congregate.
yeah, that's living the dream right
Yeah.
there.
Okay, moving on.
What about Barrage of Expendables?
This card existed
I love
before
you.
and had no mana cost, right? But it cost more to cast. Goblin Bombardment.
Yes, Goblin Bombardment was 1 in a red, and you just sacrificed a creature to. I think you had to sacrifice a goblin for that one, though. If I recall right.
Yeah, and this is repeatable removal.
It's repeatable removal, and just kind of like with the zombie we were talking about earlier, the 1/3 zombie. It's going to provide some inevitability, and it can greatly reduce your opponent's life total just by casting more creatures. So
But it's not blocking while it's providing inevitability.
no, it's certainly not. But you do get to remove creatures with this card too. So I think this card's a pretty high pick, actually.
I would think so too, actually. But how high?
I would say even as high as like 4 to 6, because you just get tons of utility out of just dead creatures on board. You have this Tenacious Dead. Oh man.
Whoa.
Look at the card right next to it for synergy.
Yeah, they place them next to each other, so we don't have to think too much.
So yeah, there's some synergy. You get to get some stuff back, and sometimes you just want to ping your opponent to death with creatures that you play. And the red decks are. This is one of the things that the red decks are looking to do, and they're looking to establish an early board presence, get you down to 6 or 7 life, and just sacrifice creatures your way or burn your face. And this is one of the ways. I just lost Dan. You there,
Yes.
Dan? Okay. So saying, yeah, this is one of the ways that the red deck is gonna finish you off, and I like that as a finisher spell. I think Brian Wong said something in Limited Resources about if you have this card in your deck, your opponent is starting at 13 life. They just don't know it yet.
True.
And that's sort of the way that I look at this card.
And it could even be useful while you're losing.
Yes,
You're
that's very
definitely
true.
not happy during development.
No,
And a parity does stuff.
it's not even that bad at development either, though, because it's only 1 mana.
It gives you
So,
something to do for in the turn 1.
yep.
But 4th to 6th
So-
pick? Oh, maybe it is.
I know I picked when I was I mean, Tempest Block was obviously a very, very long time ago, and draft was not really that popular, but I know whenever me and my friends did some, I guess, sort of sealed.
Yeah.
Um, I know I always loved playing Goblin Bombardment in my little pseudo sealed decks.
Okay, 46 pick it is.
What about Tenacious Dead?
He's a lot worse than the guy in M12 that cost 2 mana, had the same, but he could return for 1 and a black, and he didn't have to die. You could just return him anytime, and now you actually have to catch this guy dying, otherwise he won't return.
Alright, so you can compare this guy to Grim Roustabout in a way, from Return to Ravnica. And Grim Roustabout was fine. He could just block endlessly, which is where I'm looking at this guy's primary function is just blocking.
Yes.
Um,
It's like that, wasn't there the Thrall in...
yeah, the Dutiful Thrall
yeah.
from Gate Crash. And that guy was actually pretty good.
Was he 1 black
Right,
to regenerate?
Yes, he was 1 black to regenerate. He cost a white mana and he was 1 black to regenerate.
And you had Extort to benefit from him being cheap.
Yes. You don't have Extort here, but you do have, like, this guy. This guy's pretty good. He does have some synergy with some of the stuff that Black is doing, like the zombie that... What is that guy's name?
Which one?
I'm gonna keep referencing this zombie. The one that you sacrifice creature and... No, not Bloodbaron. Although Bloodbaron is a synergy with the Tenacious Dead. So yeah, Black has a lot of stuff going on, and sometimes this guy might be like a missing puzzle piece to make your Bloodbarons good, or to make your zombie guy good, your 1/3 zombie. So
Actually, Bloodbaron becomes really nasty with this guy.
yeah, I mean Bloodbaron will just read 1 black. Bloodbaron gets +2/+2 until
Although
end turn.
Bloodbaron is super shade.
Yeah. So
I think
I actually like this guy, and I think I'm picking him pretty
I
highly.
think this is pretty much what Drudge Skeleton always was.
Yep.
He was pretty much 57th pick
Yeah, that sounds pretty good to me.
in decks that were not green.
Yeah.
And the green decks sort of didn't need him to defend on the ground.
Speaking of green decks, we have this little voracious worm guy.
This looks really good.
Yeah, he looks pretty crazy.
Yes. What the hell? This guy
So maybe
really huge some of the time.
So maybe this guy is the reason you play Congregate.
Well, he is enormous if you play Congregate before it. But he still doesn't have an invasion.
No, he doesn't have evasion. He doesn't have trample, but he could very easily be the biggest creature on your battlefield. And sometimes he's just a grizzly bear.
Which what was the name of the card from Dragon's Maze you just referenced?
Crawl Warrior.
Yes. So this, I see this pretty much as Crawl Warrior. The downside is not bad at all, and the upside is huge.
Yeah.
Maybe even bigger.
So the upside. Yeah, the upside. Well, Crawl Warrior it did have some late game threat of activation going on, and it could always trade up whenever you had that much mana. This guy, he isn't always going to trade up, so I don't think he's as good as Crawl Warrior.
Okay.
But like you said, like the upside on a card like this is so high that you almost just want to play him and grab some life gain type stuff just to see if you can make a gigantic voracious worm.
Maybe actually this is the card that makes him go into the life gain deck.
Yeah, this is very well could be it. Since he's actually playable by himself.
Is there life gain in green? I just have to look at
I think
the